We're now going to turn our attention to using the CSS Grid to create a landing page, and specifically we're going to be thinking about how we align our text on a landing page, because quite often with a landing page you'll have a large image and you maybe want to put the text in not just the default place where it lands automatically, being the top left hand corner, but maybe top right hand corner or the middle or the bottom, wherever it is. So we'll take a quick look at that. As a result, I've just created here, to get us started, a very simple page structure. We've got a navigation bar, which has no navigation at the moment. We have a div, which is called featured. That's going to have the featured image, but we're not going to put a real image in. We're just going to grey out the background for now just to show this. And then we're going to put our featured text in there. So we're going to show where that placement of text will go. Let's go ahead and now start creating the design for this. So one of the first things that I need to do on this is talk to the body, because I need to make the body much bigger than I would normally. There is no real big content on the page when it starts off. Those divs are really quite small. So I need to tell the body to be 100% of the browser. So the margin and padding are set to 0, because quite often what happens on these large landing pages is that the image goes right up to the top corners. So that gives us the basic starting point. Let's do the Navbar to start off with, just to get that moving and going. So we're going to put the background in. Okay, let's just take a look at what we've got so far. So there we have our Navbar that goes across, and we have this strange horizontal scroll bar that doesn't really do anything. Now, one of the reasons behind that is because the padding is added to 100% width of the page. It's not being included. So what we're going to do here is do a simple star, which grabs everything on the page, and we say box sizing border box, and that includes the padding in the size of it. And now when we go back, we can see that we don't have that anymore. So it's talking to everything. Let's do the featured section. You might not have seen this before, maybe you have. This basically stands for viewport width. And obviously that's really important, because it means that it's always going to give you the inner size of the browser window. Similarly, we've got viewport height, this time just set to 80, so that you can see that there may be some further content down the screen. Put the background in again. And we're going to tell this to display as a grid. And there we have that section. So it's given us 80%, and no matter what size screen we look at it on, it will always be at 80% of the viewport height. Now let's look at the featured text. I'm going to say the width of this is going to be 40%, so it doesn't fill the entire browser. And I'm going to put some padding in there as well. So there we can see there's our 40% width going across there. We've got a little bit of padding so it doesn't sit at the edge. And that's great for if you want your content in the top corner like it normally does. If you don't and you wanted it centered on the screen, which is something that you often see on landing pages, we do margin auto, which with the grid allows us to do that. There we can see our content is directly centered on the screen. The grid gives us the ability to use margin auto, and it makes it very, very easy to do that. Let's just take that off for a second. Let's imagine that we want this to be right at the end. So let's do that. Justify self end. And let's see what happens there. It pushes it to the end this way over here. So we move it across to the right hand side. So if you need your text just to be on the right hand side at 40%, you can see there it's doing that. Start, obviously we'll put it back to the beginning, so there's no real benefit to that. It's usually end that you would use that for. And another thing that we can use as well, and we can use it in conjunction with this, is we can use align self. So if we do align self end, we can see that now we've got that right the way down to the bottom corner down there. So if we took this off, we now see it's this corner. So we've now got this corner, this corner, this corner, and this corner. We've got it in the center as well. We know how to do that. And we can also incorporate margin into this so we can make it, and therefore that makes it align into the center here. And that covers just about everything you probably want to do with a title and description over the top of an image for a landing page.